I was lying on the paper-covered table at my 32-week ultrasound, watching the black and white image of my daughter shift and wriggle when my phone buzzed. It was my sister, Rachel. I hesitated, then answered. "Hey," she said, her voice trembling but urgent. "I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant, and I already know the baby's name. It has to be Madison." At first, I thought I misheard. "Wait, Madison?" "Yes, it just feels right. I can't explain it, but it's the only thing keeping me together since Dad passed." My stomach nodded. "Rachel, you know that's my name. Dad asked me before he died, remember? He wanted me to name my daughter after him, Matt to Madison. He made me promise." She didn't hesitate. "I need it more than you do." The words stung. She hadn't been there when Dad slipped away. She wasn't the one who fed him ice chips when he couldn't swallow, or held his hand when he gasped his last breath. She hadn't heard him whisper, "Promise me you'll name her Madison." "Rachel," I said, my voice tight. "Grandma remembers too. She lights up every time I mention the name. With her dementia, do you realize how confusing it would be for her to think there are two baby Madisons?" But Rachel cut me off. "Grandma already knows. I told her yesterday. She's excited." I stared at the ultrasound monitor. My daughter kicked, her tiny fists curling, her heartbeat strong. "She is Madison," I thought fiercely. When the call ended, I couldn't breathe. I already knew. This wasn't about a name. This was the start of something much bigger. By the time I pulled into the driveway, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Mom. She didn't even say hello. "You need to pick another name," she said flatly, as if reading a grocery list. Rachel already claimed Madison. I froze at the door. Inside, Callum was on the floor, piecing together the crib, humming softly to himself. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice low, "you know that's impossible. Dad asked me. Rachel knows it too." Her tone sharpened. "I co-signed your mortgage, remember? I pay your phone bill, your car insurance. Without me, you and Callum wouldn't make it a month. Rachel's had 3 miscarriages. She deserves this name more than you. Let her have it." My chest tightened. There it was, her favorite tool, money. She didn't give out of kindness. She gave to control, and she knew exactly when to twist the knife. "I'm not changing it," I said firmly, though my voice shook. "You'll regret this," she snapped before hanging up. I stepped inside, trying to shake off the conversation. Callum looked up, smiling. "What's wrong?" I told him about Rachel, about Mom. His smile disappeared. "She can't be serious." "Oh, she's serious. She said if I don't change the name, she's cutting us off financially." He clenched his jaw. "Then we let her. We'll figure it out ourselves." I wanted to believe him, but I knew how tight things already were. Every bill she mentioned was true. Phone, car, mortgage. If she pulled out now, we'd be drowning. I sat on the edge of the half-built crib, staring at the tiny mattress waiting for Madison. My daughter wasn't even born yet, and already she was at the center of a war. Labor came early and hard. 22 hours of contractions left me drenched in sweat, clinging to Callum's hand like it was the only thing tethering me to earth. Just when I thought I couldn't take another wave, the door swung open. Mom walked in, Rachel trailing behind her with a hand on her stomach. "You need to reconsider," Mom said briskly, ignoring the monitors beeping around me. "Rachel's 2 months behind you. If you name your baby Madison, there will be nothing but confusion." Rachel's eyes brimmed with tears. "Please, just let me have it. Baby Madison is the only thing keeping me strong." I looked at her, my vision hazy with exhaustion. The only thing keeping her strong? Dad's last words had been my lifeline through every sleepless night. Now she was trying to rewrite history in the middle of my labor. "Mom, Rachel, please, leave," I begged. Mom's voice turned icy. "Think about what you're throwing away. I help you survive. You really want to lose that over a name?" A contraction ripped through me, so sharp I screamed. My body felt like it was splitting apart, and still they stood there waiting for my surrender. "Fine," I gasped, tears spilling down my cheeks. "Just leave me alone so I can have this baby." They exchanged a look, satisfied. Then they slipped out of the room. Hours later, when I finally held my daughter in my arms, her tiny chest rising and falling, I whispered, "Madison." No one could take that from me. Not Rachel, not Mom, not anyone. But before the peace could sink in, Mom returned, smiling like she'd won something. "Good news," she said. "I called Brian. He's on his way to support Rachel. He's so excited about being a father." Brian walked into the hospital room just as a nurse adjusted my IV. He looked around awkwardly before smiling at me. "Congrats. I didn't even know you were pregnant." Before I could reply, Mom piped up, brimming with forced cheer. "She's not. Rachel is. 7 months along with your daughter, Madison." The words hung heavy in the sterile air. Brian blinked, then let out a short laugh. "That's impossible." Rachel's face turned pale. "What do you mean?" "I had a vasectomy 3 years ago," he said, pulling his phone from his pocket. With a few taps, he held up lab results from just last month. 0 sperm count. "I told you that on our first date, remember?" Rachel's lips trembled. No, you don't understand." Brian's voice hardened. "And don't act like this is some surprise. You called me a month ago, offered me 10 grand to play along at family events, said it would help you with your grandmother's inheritance." The room tilted. I clutched Madison tighter. "What?" Rachel burst into tears. "I had to do something. Grandma was leaving everything to Emma. I couldn't just let her get it all." Mom gasped, her hand covering her mouth. My chest burned. The fake ultrasounds, the syrup-induced morning sickness, the staged doctor's notes. I thought I was losing my mind, but it was all a performance, or so I thought, because when I lunged forward, ready to yank at the padding I assumed was under her dress, I didn't feel fabric. I felt a firm bump. Rounded, solid. I staggered back. "Oh my God! You really are pregnant?" Rachel froze. Her silence said everything. Brian's eyes darted from her belly to Callum. "Then whose baby is it?" Callum's face drained of color. The room went silent. Brian's question lingered like smoke no one could clear. "Whose baby is it?" he repeated, eyes narrowing at Rachel. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She just stared at Callum. My stomach turned to stone. Callum's knuckles were white as he gripped the chair beside my bed. His lips parted like he wanted to speak, but nothing came. "Callum," I whispered, my voice raw. "Why is he looking at you?" He shook his head quickly. "I don't know. Rachel finally broke, sobbing into her hands. "It's not what it looks like." Brian let out a bitter laugh. "Of course it's not. It never is." He grabbed his jacket from the back of the chair and stormed out, the door slamming behind him. The silence that followed was worse than the yelling. Machines beeped steadily. Madison stirred in my arms, her tiny fists brushing my chest. I turned to Callum. "Tell me the truth." "There is no truth," he said too quickly. His voice cracked on the word truth. "I was only helping her. She was lonely after Dad passed. She needed someone to talk to." Rachel reached for me, desperate. "Emma, please. Nothing happened. I swear. I didn't know how to stop leaning on him." The words blurred in my ears. My vision tunneled. I clutched Madison tighter. A nurse poked her head in. "Everything all right in here?" I forced myself to look at her. No more visitors, only staff. Her eyes widened, but she nodded. Seconds later, she and another nurse ushered Rachel and Mom out of the room. Callum sat frozen in his chair, unable to meet my eyes. And for the first time since Dad's funeral, I felt completely, devastatingly alone. That night in the hospital, the walls seemed to close in on me. Madison slept in the bassinet beside my bed, her soft breaths a rhythm that should have comforted me. But all I could hear was Callum's silence. He hadn't denied it clearly enough. He hadn't reassured me. Instead, he'd just sat there, fidgeting, his hands twisting together like he was guilty of something. When the nurse brought in the birth certificate paperwork the next morning, I didn't hesitate. I wrote Madison in neat, bold letters. Dad's last wish mattered more than anyone's opinion, more than Callum's shifting stories, more than Mom's threats. My baby would carry his name no matter what it cost me. Callum's signature shook as he added his name beside mine. His pen scratched across the paper, like each letter carried a secret he wasn't ready to confess. Later, when the advocate came by to check on me, she mentioned support groups for new mothers and even handed me pamphlets about financial abuse. I tucked them into the drawer of the hospital table without a word. Callum barely spoke the rest of the day. He stared at his phone, scrolled mindlessly, stepped out for fresh air every hour. I could feel him pulling away, or maybe I was the one putting up walls. By the time discharge day arrived, I had made up my mind. Madison and I would go home. Callum would too, but not into our bed. I told him he'd be on the couch until we figured things out. He didn't argue. He didn't even try to fight for space beside me. He just nodded, grabbed a pillow, and headed downstairs. The silence between us was louder than any screaming match could ever be. The first night home, I sat in Madison's nursery, rocking her in the chair we'd picked out together, but the room didn't feel like ours anymore. The walls painted a soft sage green, the crib Callum had built, the tiny clothes folded neatly in drawers. It all felt staged, like a set in a play where the actors had walked off stage. When Madison finally drifted to sleep, I started tidying the drawers, trying to calm myself. That's when I found Callum's receipts shoved between baby blankets. Gas stations, late-night takeout, and one that made my stomach drop. A charge at a station 2 blocks from Emily's apartment on the same night Callum said he was stuck at work. My hands shook as I slipped the receipt back into the drawer. The lie was too clean, too practiced. He hadn't just covered his tracks. He'd made sure I wouldn't notice. The next morning, I pulled out the patient advocate's pamphlet and called the legal aid number she'd given me. The assistant on the line listened calmly, then said they'd seen financial threats and manipulation cases like mine too many times. She booked me an appointment with an attorney for later that week. 3 days later, I sat across from a lawyer named Mrs. Jennings, a woman with sharp glasses and an even sharper pen. She didn't flinch as I laid everything out. The name fight, Mom's financial control, Emily's fake pregnancy, and now the possibility Callum had betrayed me. Mrs. Jennings filled page after page of notes, then looked me in the eye. "This isn't just family drama," she said. "This is economic abuse, and it's time to build a record. Every threat, every receipt, every voicemail, you save it all." Walking out of her office, I felt lighter and heavier at the same time. At least now I had a plan. That evening, I waited for Callum in the living room. Madison slept upstairs, her soft breaths echoing through the house like a fragile metronome. I clutched the folder of evidence I'd begun compiling, the receipts, the texts, the voicemails. Each piece felt like armor. Callum walked in, his expression guarded. "Emma, what's this about?" I set the folder on the coffee table, letting it thud against the wood. "It's about the lies, Callum, the hiding, the receipts from Emily's apartment, the nights you claimed to work late, everything Mom warned me about financially." His jaw tightened. I can explain." I shook my head, exhausted. "No, you've been explaining for months. Now it's time to stop hiding. If we're going to survive this, Madison us, we need the truth. All of it." He stared at the floor, then back at me. Finally, he admitted, "I made mistakes. I helped Rachel cover things up. But it didn't mean anything. I cut him off. "I don't know if I can trust you. Not yet." Tears pricked his eyes. "Emma, I love you. I want to fix this." I studied him, searching for a flicker of honesty. The house was quiet except for the hum of the fridge and Madison's distant breathing. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of possibility, but also the weight of knowing this would take more than promises. "I need time," I said, "and boundaries. Madison comes first. Always." He nodded silently, understanding without words. The next week, I implemented rules. No unexpected visitors, no phone calls from Mom or Rachel without notice. I locked the folder of evidence in a drawer, not out of secrecy, but protection. Madison needed calm, not chaos. Callum helped in small ways, bottle warming, diaper changes, but I kept control of finances. I met with Mrs. Jennings again, drafting a plan for financial independence, just in case Mom tried to manipulate us further. Rachel tried to reach out, guilt and fear in her voice. I didn't respond. Madison didn't know her aunt yet, and for now, that was fine. My daughter's world would be stable, or I would make it so.
For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Strong, protective, focused, Madison's tiny fingers curled around mine, grounding me. And as I watched her sleep that night, I whispered, "You are Madison. And no one will take that from you." Months passed. Madison grew, laughing, cooing, discovering the world with bright eyes. Callum and I rebuilt trust slowly, step by careful step. Mom's influence waned as I gained financial control. Rachel eventually reconciled, but boundaries remained firm. One quiet afternoon, Madison toddled toward me, babbling in her baby language. I picked her up, spinning her gently. "You're safe, you're loved, and your name, it's yours. Always." Callum knelt beside us, smiling softly. "We did it," he whispered. I hugged them both, feeling the years of tension, grief, and manipulation melt slightly. Madison's presence had forced the family's secrets into the light, and out of the shadows came a new beginning.
No more ultimatums, no more lies, just us. Madison's name, my promise, and a life we would shape together, free from the ghosts of the past. And for the first time, I could breathe.